Welcome to Wroclaw in southwest Poland and the Sky bowling lanes for the 2012 QubicaAMF World Cup of 10-pin bowling. First time ever that it's been hosted in Poland, and not just the biggest bowling tournament but one of the biggest annual sporting events on the planet. It's a tough title to win and even tougher to defend. No guaranteed return for the champion. Only Australian Jeanette Baker and Aumi Guerra of the Dominican Republic have won back-to-back titles, and tonight Aumi bids to become the first bowler in the history of the World Cup to make it 3 in a row. Welcome back to Wroclaw in Poland and the Sky Bowling Centre. Well, we're looking at a superstar just going through her final photo call before heading into this match. Aumi Guerra, or Aumi Guerra to give her full name, which condenses down to that lovely nickname Aumi, looking to win this title for the 3rd time in a row, and that will be the first time that anyone has ever done that in the history of this competition, which has been running in various guises since 1965. Legvoesa, just to the right of your picture, you may recognise him, Nobel Prize winner from several years ago, back in the 80s, for his work with the Solidarity Union, initially in Gdansk, here as guest of honour, and will be presenting the trophy at the end. Can Shayna NG, who gets this final underway, spoil what could be quite an amazing party? And this achievement, Cass, if Guerra were to do it, cannot be understated.
Guinness Book of Records time, I'm afraid. Yeah, what a fantastic feat that would be. 3 times in a row, triple world champion, World Cup winner. And here is the little powerhouse who's been averaging 229 for every game she's bowled this week, over 36 games. High game of 289 and a couple of 279s in there, which could well have been 300 games. It's just a matter of pin count. Can you get those corner pins out? It's not very often that she is going to miss the 1-3 pocket for the right-hander, and she's carried virtually everything this week to end up in the number 1 seeded position yet again.
Guerra from the Dominican Republic, servicewoman, has managed to find time to further her bowling career, but this run in the AMF World Cup, truly amazing, has to come to Shayna NG with a really consummate performance in that semi-final against Kirsten Penny. Looks like she knows where she is on the lane, and if she can get the right carry on those pins, then we're going to see quite a few strikes from her, and I wonder if that will unsettle Guerra, who must surely be feeling some pressure with such a massive record on the line. But that's not good from Shayna. Needed that after a slightly shaky start, so Shayna has allowed her opponent back into this one. Oh, good try. Very good try at taking that spare out.
Yeah, gave it a shot. Unfortunately, it is the open frame, and Aumi Guerra, she won in 2010 in Toulon in France, and doubled it up 2011 in Johannesburg, South Africa. And so she's here for the 3rd time, looking to make history. And this is the lady that's going to try and stop her. Carries the late tin very nicely there for Shayna NG. She's got a strike, an open frame and a strike. But having said that, Simon, I mean, any time on television in a world final, there will be pressure on any bowler. Craig Woodhouse, her coach, standing behind her there.
Oh, the emotions coming through there. There is pressure for Guerra, the 35-year-old. Just letting everybody see how she feels about this right now.
Yes, a double in frames 2 and 3, and a lot of body language. Now, whether that's something Craig's told us to do. He's the team national team coach for, also the personal coaching for Aumi Guerra. Has done for a few years.
Look at that, she is fully fired up. Slightly suppressed atmosphere here at the Sky Bowling Centre. You might not be hearing a lot of applause. That's because the bulk of the crowd, and it is a big crowd, are seated behind that glass partition, so you don't always pick up their reaction. But this is a good crowd. I wonder if the players are just feeling that a little bit, maybe feeling a little disconnected to the crowd. Shayna just needs to settle herself down here because Guerra is trying to dictate terms. She's also trying to control that space up by those 2 ball returns. And yeah, just a little off her mark at the moment is Shayna.
Yeah, leaves the 2 and the 8 pin. It's a tricky sleeper spare, 1 pin right behind the other. Aumi is clean so far. Spare and 3 strikes, and that's a good looking spare from Shayna NG. Unfortunately, the problem is leaving those spares. It's been such a high scoring tournament that when you leave a spare, it's almost like, well, you rolled a particularly good shot.
A lot of hustle up to that line.
Well,
but my goodness, there's a lot of power.
You can see the power. I was just going to say, the little powerhouse shoots 4 in a row, and you can see the rotation on that ball as it comes off the break point at about 42 feet and just rips up into the pocket, carries all 10. She's here looking for 5 strikes in a row, and she's well lined up. Great looking shot. She can strike off for a 290. Which would be her highest game of the week. If she can strike right through 7, 8, 9 and 10.
That would certainly be the way to open up in this final. But remember, it's best of 3, so Shayna NG would not be out of it if she loses this first game. And the pin count is irrelevant. So she just needs to calm it down and find some more sweet strikes like that.
Well, Shayna's had a high game of 279 this week and a 230 average, so she's no way out of this. And the scores were so close for the top 3 players. And now it's down to head-to-head 3 games.
Bit of
That's another one.
Yeah, from the coach just behind her.
It's her 5th strike and she's got 2 doubles. It's the open frame that's causing the problem for her. The strikes don't seem that hard to come by, but she had that huge open frame. And we're going for a 6-pack.
Oh, she's playing well. She's playing so well.
Yeah, she's getting perhaps just a little bit of luck on that one. It's a little bit light in the pocket, but you ride your luck. Especially if it's going to be a 6-pack. And now she's up for another one.
Really taking her time on this left-hand lane. You get the feeling that this is the one that concerns her. 2 pairs of lanes will be alike, especially these 2. Oh, well done. Well done. That meant a lot, that particular strike, and she feels maybe there that she's managed to close the door on this first game. A little bit of work to be done still.
7 strikes in a row helps any game. It's going to put you 240s if you don't have any open frames. And there's a potential for more. Well, again we see the 2-8 spare for Shayna. She left this a couple of frames ago. She did pick it up, but it's not a strike, and so consequently he goes further ahead.
Done it again, very well taken out.
Yeah, it's a good spare, and she can strike out for 224. Unfortunately, that's below par for the week. It's certainly going to be, I would think, below Aumi Guerra's first game score, which at the moment still could be 290 if she can strike out. Well, the first game is won.
Yes, this for the perfect start for the defending champion. Just seemed to come off that one a little bit, and she was willing it on.
Fraction high on the head pin, cut straight through the 1, 3 and the 5 and missed. It didn't deflect off into the 9 pin, carried straight through. But it's a straightforward single pin spare. I can't imagine that she's going to miss it, and that will be enough to take this opening game. So she's happy. It's a low 5 from the coach.
That Guerra smile though that we've seen for a couple of years now on the World Cup. We see a huge grin to signify 3 in a row by the end of this match. It's not over yet, and I certainly think Shayna NG has bowled well enough to worry Guerra still. especially Cass if Guerra loses her way a little bit on these two.
Well, she certainly hasn't lost her way all week over 36 games, and she looks pretty cool, pretty lined up, and just showing us exactly how good she is. But you never know, you're as good as your last game, and anything can happen.
Do you think the pressure will get to her when she gets close to that winning line, if she does?
I honestly can't see it, but conditions and the environment may change on the lanes, but at the moment they're holding up under these TV lights. She's just hit a 269 with 2 single pin spares, a 9 pin and a 10 pin. Had they gone, we would have had a televised 300 game. She bowled 10 strikes.
Now that's phenomenal, but this is a chance here for a little bit of no pressure experimentation for Shayna to take into game 2. And well, whatever she tried there worked.
Yeah, both players playing around second arrow, about 10 inches in from the right hand channel, and it seems to be working. So they won't change until the lane changes, and they're both in the pocket well in the last frame here. 224 for Shayna if she can get one more strike.
You can see from Shayna's reaction there, the body language, she's thinking, well, where were those strikes when I needed them earlier in this game? But I think you've got to try and spin that. You've got to turn that on its head and be thinking, well, I'm in now, let's take it into the second game and level this up.
Yes, absolutely. Has to move on from the open frame. The 2 spares. She knows she can get in that 1-3 pocket. It's just literally a carry contest. And that's the way to finish, 4 strikes in a row. A game of 224.
So Guerra takes the first one, but signs from Shayna NG that she is coming into some form now in this final. Maybe just calming herself down after that initial pressure, that wonderful run of strikes from Guerra setting up the 269 to take the first game. Welcome back to the women's final here at the 2012 QubicaAMF World Cup in Wroclaw in Poland. Fantastic bowling centre here, the Sky Bowling Centre. There's a real high-tech feel to the whole setup. And can we get a bit of old-school magic from Aumi Guerra to create a record which I think we're going to have to wait a long, long time to see equalled? 3 titles back to back on the World Cup. She and Jeanette Baker have managed to get 2 titles back to back, but this is to claim that record for herself and be out on her own. But this is the woman that could spoil the party, Shayna NG, and certainly Cass Edwards was showing some signs towards the end of that first game, which she lost, that she got her act together with those 4 strikes, but I'm afraid those signs now look to be over.
Yeah, it must be a bit frustrating for not only for Shayna but also for Remy Ong there in the red shirt, the former world champion from Singapore and her coach for the tournament. When she strikes, she looks good. When she's out of the pocket, just doesn't mix up very much, does it? So she starts with a spare. What has she got to do? Well, to start throwing a few herself, and I'm not talking 2s and 3s, I'm talking 4s, 5s and 6 in a row. And that's the starter.
Yeah, I think you're right, Cass. It does feel like she's got to throw a big block here.
As you say, it's an emotional thing, it's an excitement type thing, but she's so cool when she's not showing us her body language. She knows exactly what she's doing on this lanes, and she has been all week. So I'm sure she's very, very confident. So she won in 2010 and 2011. She was 5th in 2006 and 7th in 2007. So this is the 5th time that she's qualified for the World Cup from the Dominican Republic. And as you mentioned earlier, Simon, you don't get invited back if you win. You have to re-qualify through your own bowling federation country tournament.
And that whole Caribbean zone has some quality players. So she's not just playing in tournaments on her own, she's got a real battle on her hands to get through. And the same can be said of the likes of Singapore and Malaysia and that whole Pacific Rim zone. That really is a hotbed of talent. And that's why Shayna NG is such a good player. Maybe not a household name yet, but certainly has the quality to cause Guerra problems, and just needs to find that area on the lane that she played so well against Kirsten Penny.
She's no stranger to bowling on television. She's plays the Asian Tour, and as fact, believe it or not, she's had a televised 300 game back in 2010 during the Asian Games. Shot the magic 12 in a row in the final on TV, so they don't come along every day. We'll move back on.
The bowlers in Singapore are extremely well known. They are household names in their own country, treated as superstars, and do produce results at a consistently high level on the international stage. Now, Guerra, for the first time since that opening frame of this final, with a slightly more nervous expression on her face. I think we'll see a little bit of emotion coming through if she can string a few more together.
To the halfway stage already, it's pretty even.
Now, to me, it looks as if Shayna has just taken a tiny little move to her right. I wonder if she'll do that on the left-hand lane as well. It certainly worked for the right hand.
Yeah, well, she may have noticed that the lane oil and lane conditioner has broken down a little bit, and it's a testing time.
Oh, both corner pins out simultaneously. That would have just had the heart in the mouth for a second.
Spares the 710. great
all in one shot. Very clever.
All in one shot. But the interesting thing is it's 4 strikes in a row.
Well, that's what you said she had to do, Cass.
Yeah, absolutely. But you've got to look out, because this little powerhouse is also looking to make 4 in a row here. It's all very, very close. It's a strike fest from both players.
Now a double here for Guerra on this visit to add to the strikes that she already has would surely set it up. She is on for this 3 in a row. She really is.
Well, that actually makes 5 strikes in a row, and she's going to, if she can strike off, she's got a 280 game, and that's going to be difficult to beat. But if NG strikes off, she's going to be 290. That would be just ludicrous scores.
But befitting of a World Cup final. This is what the fans have come to see. You want a high scoring contest, but ideally you want a close contest as well. And that's what these two are producing in game 2. And Guerra, I'm sure, trying to keep some of those thoughts at bay, has to just concentrate on the job in hand rather than the prize at the end of this. Brilliant. This is very, very good from NG in game 2.
Fantastic. That's 7 in a row. So pressure must be on Aumi Guerra now. She must realise, well, this girl can strike as much as I can. So anything that's not a strike, well, the score's going to be going backwards. So every ball is an important ball.
A shout from Woodhouse there. That was nearly a baby split. And it is quite an unusual setup for this final. You've already mentioned about the lanes, Cass, but the way the crowd are around it and behind the glass panel, the way some of the VIPs as well are seated, this is quite a tricky environment to get used to for the final. And a little stick on the lane as well. So everything against Guerra there.
She can strike off for 259. That's what the difference spare makes. She's up for the foundation frame. It's frame number 9. She Shayna NG sitting with 7 strikes in a row. Ooh, and again it's high through the head pin. Got a bit lucky there in the foundation.
Shayna's still got to put the lid on this one, but I think this is going the distance.
Well, that's striking the 9th, and that's 8 in a row. She's just got to keep the ball on the lanes, and she will actually can shut out Aumi Guerra. Shayna can go 260 plus with a spare and a strike in the 10th frame.
Not quite, left the 7. Smile from Craig Woodhouse confirms that Guerra is technically still in it. Almost Remy-ong about this performance here from Shayna. We've seen Remy do this on a number of occasions, very scientific with his approach to this sport. And he is a player that will dig himself out of trouble, find the line and then strike it off the sheet for the win.
Simon, 1 pin will be enough to shut out Aumi Guerra, even if she can strike out. It's not going to go in the channel. She's going to hit some pins and take 8. And she will score 267, which is a really good game, and it's going to be enough to tie this one up at 1-all, no matter what Aumi can do.
Guerra, as with all 10-pin bowling matches, will bowl this one to its conclusion, even though this particular game is dead. It is 1-all, but Guerra here, I think this is probably the most important part of this entire tournament for the Dominican Republic bowler. It's back to square one.
Simon, yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think you're absolutely spot on with that little bit of aggression that we're showing, which is okay, but there can be too much. And yes, she's using these last couple of frames, last couple of shots, just to relax herself.
Turns into a bit of a roller coaster ride, this one for Guerra. And as Cass Edwards says, we are evens, heading into the 3rd and final game for this World Cup title. Coming up after the break, stay with us. 3rd and final game. The winner of this one wins the trophy. Who's your money on, Cass?
Well, Shayna has just shot an average of 242 for her last 4 games. It could be anybody's. Aumi could have shot 200-300 games, believe it or not. All down to this one.
Great start from Guerra, proving there why she has the quality to win this title for a 3rd time consecutively. In her eye line, but oh no, no. After such a good first delivery, the left-hand lane has caught her out again.
Well, I can't understand what's happening. She's obviously thrown it further right than she wanted to, and she's left a 210 split. The ball just didn't get up, but I mean, there's a lot of back end on these lanes, and it just didn't make it. And that is an open frame for Aumi Guerra, and I don't think we've seen one of those for quite a few games this week. 210 split on the left-hand lane.
Now it's Shayna NG's turn to make sure she keeps those thoughts of a win at bay, in order that she can keep doing what she's doing very well at the moment. That's a lot of strikes that she's putting together, and Guerra now, well,
she's certainly not as happy as she was in games 1 and 2, but we know she can string 6 or 7 strikes in a row, so it's a matter of watching this space. But stringing the strikes together at the moment is Shayna NG from Singapore, looking to steal this one. Aumi was basically the odds-on favourite. It would have been such a fabulous win for her if she could win 3 titles in a row. She comes back with a strike on that right-hand lane. She's got to double up. She's got to get this open frame covered. The 210 split she had, and who's looking happiest in the back there? Shayna NG and Remy-ong.
Remy's not given to too much frivolity down there on the lane, so for him to be laughing, it must be good. The Smiles all round for Team Singapore. Very, very serious game face on for the Dominican Republic. And Guerra needs this. Straight through the head pin.
Ooh.
Leaves 4 standing. And that could be real trouble now for the champion.
A massive overreaction from the last shot on that lane, which left the 210 split. She's come deep inside and gone straight through the head pin.
Good effort to spare, but that's 2 open frames. We always say this on 10-pin bowling programs on Eurosport, but an open frame is a killer. 2, well, that can finish it.
You know how well she can strike. The one that was just a fraction high, wasn't it? It was so close. Leaves the 4-pin standing. She's got a 25-pin lead now.
Yeah, and because of those 2 open frames for the moment, Cass, spare's good enough for Shayna.
Absolutely, yeah. Spare is, well, it's an advance. Score will progress. Straightforward 4-pin is good enough, and there is the difference. What damage can Shayna do now? Well, it's just it has been a strike fest, and Shayna's coming out in the 3rd game and really taking advantage of those 2 huge open frames left by Aumi Guerra, who can do nothing now. She must strike.
Went after that one way too hard and has tugged that right across the front of the head pin.
Yeah, leaves the 6 and the 10. Makes
Really
the spare, but Simon squares are not good enough, I'm afraid.
That's what she's playing for, to get her name onto that trophy for a 3rd time in a row. But now it's looking very doubtful indeed.
224 is a maximum score if she can strike out. Well, there's the first one in frame 6. But 224 may not be enough, because Shayna NG is averaging 242 for the last 4 games. And she looks quite at home on this strange pair of lanes that aren't quite a pair. And there's another one. Just looking so good, isn't she? Taking advantage now.
All that pressure's come off, all the weight off those shoulders now, and the arm is swinging very, very free. And as long as she doesn't overcook anything here, she stays with exactly what she's doing. This is going to be virtually impossible for Guerra to salvage.
Yeah, she could well be shot out of this. That more strikes there for Shayna. And she knows this is the last game. There's nothing else to come after this one. If you win this one, you're World Cup champion. Well, Aumi goes 2 strikes in a row. She's got to keep doing that. She's got to just keep going right to the end of the 10th frame with strikes.
Again, just gets stuck at the foul line. Oh, gets a bit of luck there, and there's the emotion coming through once more from Guerra. But it really is out of her hands now. As long as NG doesn't make a mistake, this will be her title.
Oh dear. Solid 9-pin there. The ball just deflects straight through. So much power on it. But the spare's going to be good. She holds on to about 28 pins lead. It's just a matter of timing it up now. It's the foundation frame. The girl from Singapore.
And that will do nicely.
And I think, Simon, that a strike there with whatever she can put together in the 10th frame will be too much for the 2-time champion from the Dominican Republic. She's not going to make it 3 in a row, I'm afraid.
Of course, you have to bowl on through to the end of the game, and this must be hurting for Guerra right now.
This tournament is all over. And there's a few tears as well.
So close. She has been an absolute superstar over the last few seasons on the QubicaAMF World Cup. I think all of us really did want to see her win those 3 titles to go into the record books. That would have been pretty special, but it yet again underlines just how tough this tournament is.
And how emotional she is, Simon, as well.
Yeah, I mean, she was, as far as she was concerned mentally, I think when she stepped onto this lane, she was ready to take this title away, and now she's got to combat the very opposite of those feelings. And this is horrible. This is hurting her a lot.
Well, 4 pins going straight through the head pin. It doesn't really matter. Aumi is utterly, bitterly disappointed. But there is a new champion sitting at the back there. So that's it, and congratulate her partner. It's all over, I'm afraid. A 169 is the lowest game of the week for Aumi Guerra, and she signs off as a former double World Cup champion.
So the defending champion bows out. It isn't that magic 3 in a row, and in floods of tears, Aumi Guerra now just has to try and cope with this situation. It's going to be one of those losses that takes a long, long time to get over. A new champion, and what a cracking champion. Shayna NG has coped with some unbelievable pressure in this World Cup final, and she's come through it superbly.
Yes, it's been a great performance. She's averaged 240 on television.
So Shayna NG to finish this one off in style. Been a little overshadowed by what has happened to Aumi Guerra, but she has achieved something that so few 10-pin bowling athletes achieve. She will be 2012 QubicaAMF World Cup champion. What a tremendous victory that is, and that will be very well received back in Singapore. And a little bit of credit as well to coach Remy Yong, because he's clearly kept on the case. He's managed to find a way for his athlete to do this. Oh, well done to Aumi Guerra. On her feet to applaud this last delivery. And confirmation of that final score. Guerra didn't challenge in the deciding game. And Shayna NG takes it home. And Pralesa and John Walker, CEO of QubicaAMF, to present the trophy. Shayna NG is the champion.